What do you call a bitter broadcaster who just watched his team get embarrassed in free agency? A Philadelphia sports talk host melting down on live radio? Apparently. NBC Sports Philadelphia color analyst Ben Davis absolutely lost his mind this week on 94 WIP, going scorched earth on the New York Mets and newly signed infielder Bo Bichette after the former Blue Jays star chose Queens over Philly. And let me tell you, the salt levels were off the charts. Here's what happened. The Phillies were reportedly close, like champagne on ice close, to landing Bichette on a 7-year, $200 million deal. They rolled out the red carpet, made their pitch, probably showed him Rocky statues and cheesesteaks, the whole 9 yards. Then, in a plot twist that sent shockwaves through the city of brotherly love, Bichette pulled the ultimate power move. He signed with the Mets instead. 3 years, $126 million, with opt-outs after both year 1 and year 2. Translation: he gets to test the market again if he's good, or collect guaranteed money if he struggles. It's the ultimate player-friendly contract, and the Phillies got played. Davis couldn't hide his frustration during his radio appearance, calling the Mets losers and dismissing Bichette's comments about New York's commitment to winning as nothing but smoke. His exact words? The fact that he says they're committed to winning, like the Phillies aren't? Come on, man. Blow that smoke somewhere else. The bitterness was palpable, dripping through every syllable like venom. But here's the thing. Is Davis wrong to be angry, or is he just a sore loser who can't accept that his team got outmaneuvered by their division rival? Let's rewind to Bichette's introductory press conference at Citi Field this week. The 27-year-old shortstop, fresh off watching the Mets fall 1 game short of a World Series title in 2025, spoke passionately about his new team's championship window. He revealed that he still hasn't gotten over the heartbreak of losing Game 7, and that joining the Mets felt like the best opportunity to get back to that stage and finish the job this time. It was very obvious that I wanted to be a Met, Bichette said, emphasizing the organization's commitment to winning now. Now, let's dissect Davis's meltdown and separate the legitimate criticism from the pure, unfiltered cope. His central argument? That Bichette didn't choose the Mets because of their commitment to winning. He chose them because of the contract structure. And you know what? Davis has a point, even if he's delivering it with all the grace of a sledgehammer to the face. The 3-year, $126 million deal with dual opt-outs is a masterclass in player leverage. If Bichette plays like an all-star in year 1, he can opt out and chase a massive long-term deal on the open market while he's still in his prime. If he's merely good, he can opt out after year 2 and still cash in. And if injuries or performance issues derail him, he collects $126 million guaranteed and rides off into the sunset. It's a win-win-win for the player and a high-risk gamble for the Mets. The Phillies, meanwhile, were reportedly offering 7 years and $200 million. More total money, more security, more commitment. So, why did Bichette say no? Davis's theory is pure cynicism. He chose the Mets because they gave him opt-outs with a high annual thing, that if he stinks, he gets to stay, and if he's good, he gets to leave and get a bigger deal. That's why he chose the Mets, right? It's a brutal take, but it's rooted in reality. The average annual value on Bichette's Mets contract is $42 million per year, astronomical for a player who's coming off a solid but not spectacular season with the Blue Jays. Compare that to the Phillies' reported offer, which would have averaged around $28.5 million annually over 7 years. The Mets paid a premium for flexibility, and Bichette took the money and the escape hatches. But here's where Davis's argument falls apart. He's acting like the Phillies are some noble, championship-obsessed organization that got spurned by a greedy mercenary. Let's pump the brakes on that narrative. The Phillies have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, sure, but what have they done with it lately? They've been bounced from the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion multiple times, their bullpen has been a recurring disaster, and their front office has made questionable moves that left fans scratching their heads. Meanwhile, the Mets just came within 1 game of winning the World Series. They've got Francisco Lindor anchoring the infield, a deep rotation, and an owner in Steve Cohen who's willing to spend whatever it takes to win. If you're Bo Bichette, which situation looks more promising right now? Davis also took issue with Bichette's comments about the Mets' commitment to winning, as if the Phillies have a monopoly on competitive fire. There's only a handful of teams that aren't committed to winning, Davis said dismissively. But the fact that he says that, like, the Phillies aren't? Come on, man. This is where the salt really shows. Of course the Phillies are committed to winning. Every team says that. But actions speak louder than words, and the Mets just proved they're willing to take bigger risks and pay bigger prices to get elite talent. The Phillies offered more years, but less annual value and no flexibility. The Mets offered a shorter commitment with massive annual payouts and player-friendly opt-outs. One team adapted to the modern free agency landscape, the other got left behind. So, what's the real story here? Ben Davis is a bitter broadcaster lashing out because his team got embarrassed by their biggest rival in a high-stakes free agency battle. The Phillies thought they had Bichette locked up, and then the Mets swooped in with a more creative, player-friendly deal and stole him away. That's not blowing smoke, that's smart business. The Mets identified a need, made an aggressive offer, and landed one of the best young infielders in baseball. The Phillies, meanwhile, are left holding the bag and making excuses on sports radio. But let's not pretend this is just about money and contract structure. Bichette's comments about the Mets' commitment to winning weren't just empty platitudes. They were a subtle dig at the Phillies' recent failures. He watched the Mets come within one game of a championship. He saw their roster, their culture, their momentum. And he made a calculated decision that New York gives him a better chance to win now than Philadelphia does. That's got a sting for Phillies fans, and it clearly stung Davis, who couldn't resist calling the Mets losers despite the fact that they just outmaneuvered his team in free agency. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The Phillies are a good team, but they're not a great team. They've got talent, they've got payroll flexibility, but they've also got glaring weaknesses and a recent history of playoff disappointment. The Mets, on the other hand, are a team on the rise with an owner who's willing to spend like a drunken sailor and a front office that's making bold, aggressive moves. Bichette saw that difference, and he chose accordingly. Davis can call it a joke all he wants, but the joke's on Philadelphia. Phillies fans, how are you feeling about this? Are you with Ben Davis, thinking Bichette made a purely financial decision and the Mets are still losers? Or do you think the Phillies got outplayed and need to step up their game in free agency? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear if you're angry, disappointed, or just ready to move on to the next target. And if you're as fired up about this division rivalry as I am, smash that like button and let's keep this conversation going. The NL East arms race is heating up, and the Phillies just lost a major battle. What's their next move?